Buonasera, welcome to Dorina's Kitchen in the evening. This evening we are going to make something special. So it is St. Patrick's Day today, but we finished all of our St. Patrick's stuff and we're preparing for the next thing that's coming along, which is St. Joseph's. In Italy, it's San Giuseppe on Friday. So I'm doing this today because if you want to make these tomorrow, you're all set for Friday, or even if you want to make them Friday morning. They're best fresh, but they last. You know, they make them in bakeries and they've got them in there for a couple of days in the case, so you're good to go. So anyway, so what these are is a pastry, and we're gonna have a little bit of cream. Now I'm not making the cream for you. It's the same cream. It's a crema pasticcera that it's a custard. And last week when we made the cake for the International Women's Day, that pastry cream I made in that show is the same cream that we have for today. So I'm going to show you how to make the pastry. They call it a choux pastry, C-H-O-U-X, but how we shape it and prepare it for Friday's celebration. Now also, St. Joseph's Day in Italy on Friday is also Father's Day because St. Joseph was Jesus' earthly father, so therefore they take that and make that Father's Day in Italy. So now you have a little bit of history and a little bit of culture. We're gonna get started. So I'm personally doubled the recipe. You know how I am sometimes. Gotta go some places, I'm gonna take some around. But the base recipe is 250 milliliters of water. This will make about 6 of the big ones. I'm gonna make some smaller ones, so they're gonna go a little further. But I think that you'll get the point. You can make them any size you want, but if you want to double it and make a dozen big ones, then by all means go ahead. So 250 milliliters of water, we're warming it up, and we're gonna add 90 grams of butter. Now I'm adding 180. So we're gonna add this in, it's chopped up, and we're gonna let that melt. As this melts, we are going to add I'm just adding a pinch of salt. Well, since I doubled it, 2 pinches. And we're just going to let this melt down. So that's just about ready. Now, what comes next is the flour. So it would be 150, or this time 300 grams of flour. And what you end up doing is you put it in all at once. And you're gonna cook this all together until it's a dough. You're gonna stir it around. Well, you know, you can't see it. I don't have clear pots, so I'm sorry. But just as soon as this is done, and I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I can. Now, there's 2 ways to make these pastries. You can fry them or you can bake them. So I have the oven on and I have a frying pan with oil in it here. So we'll probably make 1 or 2 fried ones. I'm gonna put some in the oven. Melted butter, okay. So now we're gonna dump in our flour, and we're just going to, there we go, stir that all in. With the heat still on, and we're just stirring it until it's completely, it looks like really thick cream of wheat. So you can see it's kind of like this solid mass almost. So I'm just going to cook the flour just a little bit more until it's completely to the point where it comes off the sides of the pan and it's sticking all to itself, which it is doing beautifully. And you can see it's all like one solid ball now. So I'm going to turn this off for a minute. I'm going to take it off the heat. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to dump this into a different bowl. See, it all fell out nice into a nice solid mass. Now what I'm going to do, and now you can see because I've got the glass bowl, is I've got what would be 4 eggs. I have doubled it to 8. We're just going to pour in a little egg at a time. It just seems to mix better when you pre-mix it. So now what's going to happen here is, and it's going to be hard to do it first. Mix this, put in a little bit, and then I'm going to stir the heck out of it, then mix in a little more, stir the heck out of it. Okay. And it doesn't want to mix it first. It all looks like it's not going to go. It breaks up. I'm just going to keep stirring. And this is normal. It's kind of like breaking apart in pieces, separating, and all of a sudden, look, it's now creaming in. Now, we're going to add a little more. It's a great workout. There we go. Yeah, it's funny because it just totally looks like when you're making it, looks like you're doing it wrong. It's getting all, it gets like, you know, separated and slimy, and then as you mix. So please don't get disappointed, discouraged, whatever, while you're doing it, thinking you're doing it wrong, because you're not. This is the way it goes. It's nice and smooth. And look at this. Isn't that beautiful? It's nice and thick, but it's got a pretty much of a solidness to it. So that's pretty good. So now, a couple little tricks here. So this is how we do it. We have a pastry bag with, I have a large one. You can use, you know, if the biggest you have is one of these smaller star tips, I think it'll work. If not, try to use, you know, try to get your hands on a big one. If not, you can always zigzag a bag. Doesn't come out the best. And if you have to make them round without the ridges, so be it, but it really is prettiest with the ridges in it. Getting these parts anymore, these things, these tools, is not that hard. You know, good old, as I say, Amazon, it amazes me, all the stuff they got. It's like a love-hate thing I have with them, but you know, works out good. All right, but you put this in a cup. So what we're gonna do with this, and I think this is pretty good. You know, you never wanna add, if it's too thin, you do not wanna add flour. You know, you can cook it down another minute, or there's other tricks if it's too thin, but I think this is pretty much, look at that. I think it's just right. Because you want it to be soft enough to pipe, but not so soft that it's runny. But if you follow the recipes exactly, most of them, and the recipes that, you know, that are, you know, if you don't follow mine or you have a family one or a different one online, you know, follow it exactly. It does make a difference being exact on these things, because this is baking. This is pastry. Now there's a couple ways to do this. If you're gonna fry them, the best thing to do is to kind of do them on parchment. Because then you can dip this into the oil and it'll just kind of come off. So I'm gonna put this down on here. And you can do it on a big sheet, like on a pan, and then cut them up. But I'm just gonna do it this way, practice. Okay, so we're going to make a circle and then a second circle. Okay, and then we're gonna make a circle and a second circle, and a third one. Okay, pretty, I got a little loosey-goosey. So, I hope this wasn't too wet. Let's see if I can get this paper off. There we go. And then we'll just take this baby and help toss it over. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay. Now some people put the paper in flat side down, you know, like paper down, and then just pull it off afterwards. I don't know. Let's try one that way. We're having fun here. We're experimenting. Oh, yes. And I think that this beautiful baby is done. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Look at that. Now I made these a little bit smaller than normal. Normally, no joke, they're like the size, you know what, of a standard American donut. They're that big around, but I'm making them a little bit smaller because I want to make more of them. And we're all, like I said, we're all kind of doing our thing and eating too much, so we don't want to eat too much. Let's get this one out, but I don't want to burn a beautiful zeppole. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, and we're going to do a couple in the oven. We'll see if they're done before we are. I don't know if I have enough. Let's see here. Never fill your bag too much. It's easier to refill, even if it's a pain in the butt. It's easier to refill it than it is to have it squeezing out the top and making that big mess. So always a double circle. If you make it so that the circle fills in the middle, that's okay. Most of them do. Mine tend to have a hole in the middle that make them kind of wider, but I'm going to make these ones a little thicker. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to put these in the oven. Well, let's see what happens to those. But in the meantime, so that's a 350 oven. I think they take about 20 minutes or so. So now, the other part. Now, like I told you, I made the pastry cream already. And this is just your standard Italian pastry custard. It is on my other video on the Women's Day cake. It's what we spread all over the whole cake and cut into the middle. And here's my other pastry bag. So now I have this custard, and this is how we do this. So what I did was I made the custard, and I covered it. Now I used wax paper. Usually you're supposed to cover it with like a plastic film, and it keeps it from making a skin. You could put a regular lid on it. The thing is, most people, like, they'll touch the plastic to it. I don't really use a whole lot of plastic. I have some somewhere, my big commercial ones, but I try not to use it too much. So, there we go. Put a little more in. So now I have this lovely custard, which I had a big spoonful of earlier. These are called amarena cherries. Some stores will carry, these are like kind of like a sour cherry, and these are very, very typical of a topping and for a lot of desserts and things in Italy. They love sour. We love sour. Ha ha. So these are, they're like in this cherry, so they're dark, dark red cherry. Okay, I'm gonna try one. You know what that flavor is? That's one of my favorite gelatos in Italy. It's called Spagnola, and it has the cherry, like some of this juice and the little cherries. Oh, so good. Anyway, so I'm gonna put one pretty one right here. We're just gonna decorate one for the moment, and I'm gonna show you how pretty it is. So now, if you're making these for tomorrow, you can put, you know, if you go to a bakery, they've got the cream in it already and all that stuff. So you can do this and put them in the refrigerator. They are best eaten the same day, but they are totally fine the next day, even 2 or 3 days later. So if you wanted them for Sunday and you wanted to make them on Friday or something, the only thing is, I doubt they'll last because they'll be gone, not because they go bad. So we're just gonna put a nice dollop of that on there. And it's funny, these look funny to me because they're small, but, and then one cherry on top. And there we have one Zeppole di San Giuseppe. So if, you know, if you're used to seeing the big poofy ones, this is just a little one. You know, it's only like, you know, that big. Small heart, small heart. But it looks so good, I just want to eat it right now. Should I eat it right now? Let's taste, should I taste it? Woohoo! Of course, I had to get the cherry in the first bite. They're still warm, but wow, so good. So nice and fluffy. So anyway, that's how you make the Zeppole di San Giuseppe. You definitely just follow the recipe exactly. I will post it tonight, I promise. I know sometimes I'm slow, but I promise I'll post it tonight. And I wish you all a happy Father's Day to all the people out there who are fathers or husbands, fathers, brothers of people that are watching. And happy St. Patrick's Day, happy St. Joseph's Day. Make a beautiful treat of a dessert. These are the traditions that we bring to our table. When you follow a holiday season, when you follow holiday traditions, and they don't have to be, New Year's and Christmas and Hanukkah and Easter and all these big holidays. The beautiful thing about Italy is they have lots of little traditions, little holidays that fall throughout the year. Almost every month there's something. And these are the things that kind of give us reason to celebrate, reason to have fun, reason to come to the table and enjoy each other's company and converse. We have conversation and we just laugh and have a good time. So enjoy the people in your family this week with these 2 holidays in a row, and make something fun to eat, because, dinner brings you to the table, but dessert keeps you there. Okay, buonasera. Have a wonderful evening. Make some treats tomorrow, and let me know how they come out. If anybody makes any, make me some pictures. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Ciao.